A Masters of the Universe live-action movie is something that has been rumored for so many years that at this point, a lot of us have just been in this very much we'll believe it when we see it state. Now, there's been a lot more movement on the Hollywood side of a potential Masters of the Universe movie. But of course, when this sort of machine starts rolling, the dread starts setting in by a lot of us longtime fans because, while yes, we want to see a live-action movie, we want it to be good. And it's always a little scary not knowing what Hollywood is going to do to this property that we love so much. But that is where fan films come in and can really do something a little more special. When you have fans at the helm making something for the fans, a lot of fun could really be created. And that is what is going on right now with the Kickstarter that is running at this very moment for a sequel to Fall of Grayskull. Daniel Benedict, the filmmaker who created the very first Fall of Grayskull fan film 10 years ago, is now attempting to do something even grander than before by doing a full-length feature film with real-world sets that is inspired by Masters of the Universe and Princess of Power. It's a true feature-length fan film. And to talk a little bit more and learn about what they are attempting to do with this new movie, I had the opportunity to sit down with Daniel and several other folks who are working on the film here today so that we can learn all about Fall of Grayskull, Rise of the Horde. Let's check it out. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I have got a great panel of folks who are all involved in the upcoming Fall of Grayskull 2 film that is currently running on Kickstarter, so we can have some conversation about exactly what this film is set to be all about. So please welcome me in joining the various cast members and creators behind the scenes. We'll go ahead and start things off with current AEW star and the man who is going to be playing the most powerful man in the universe himself, Brian Cage. There he is. That's He-Man right there. We then have Hollywood prop maker, works on all kinds of cool stuff there that you see in TV and in film, and will also be playing the role of Man-at-Arms in Fall of Grayskull 2. Please welcome Matt O'Toole.
Hey there.
From the cosplay group Simple Tricks and Nonsense, who will also be playing the role of Bo, please welcome John McDonald.
Hey, how's it going?
And then we have the man himself, the man behind the Fall of Grayskull films, the guy who I beat at He-Man on the Intellivision, my good friend Daniel Benedict. How's it going, Daniel?
It's great, but you're lying. I beat you.
No, that is not how it goes. Well, thank you guys very much. It's awesome to have you here. I'm really excited to kind of dive in and learn more about the plans for this upcoming sequel film. So I think we'll go ahead and just start off by asking Daniel some questions. So Daniel, what exactly are you guys doing here? What is Fall of Grayskull 2?
Fall of Grayskull 2, Rise of the Horde is, or will be, hopefully, a feature-length sequel to our first short fan film that we did 10 years ago. And it's going to be, we're going all out on this one. Like, you know, all of the rough edges of the first one, all of the, you know, everything that I wish I could change about it. Like, this is going to be infinitely better in every single way, you know, in tone, in appearance. And, you know, we want to make, like a definitive Masters of the Universe and our He-Man and She-Ra movie, live action movie that takes place, you know, filmed in real space and not like all green screen like we did last time, which, you know, it kind of, I think it kind of takes people out of it, or takes me out of it when I watch it. Now I can't even watch it anymore, but so yeah, that's the plan, or that's the hope.
That's awesome. And you were just talking about the first Fall of Grayskull film, which was released, almost 10 years ago at this point, which is kind of mind-blowing that it was that long ago. It doesn't feel that long ago. But you kind of touched on it a little bit, but explain a little bit more or go into more detail on like how this is going to differ from the way you guys shot the first Fall of Grayskull film?
So yeah, we were everything was shot green screen last time with like a nothing budget. It was we did a Kickstarter and it was successful, and we raised a little over 10,000. It was 12 maybe, can't remember, but yeah, and that was gone instantly basically. But and that was shot over a course of the first time was like 5 days, and then we shot pickup shots over like 3 more days later on. But this one, we're taking our time. We technology has advanced. Our skill sets have advanced. Met a lot more awesome individuals who are helping. We have Rob Lamb and Sean Lamb writing this. From the original 80s cartoon show. And the characters are going to be more traditional in appearance and traditional in kind of like their characteristics. So everything is going to be super close to what fans remember and love and want. So yeah.
That's awesome. So I kind of want to like build on that just a little bit too. You talk about how you're wanting this to be something that the fans like recognize and they know. Is there anything like any specific era of MOTU that you're like drawing inspiration from? Or are you doing an amalgamation of the different things? I know you've got like former Filmation folks involved here with Robert Lamb. So I don't know if is there like one specific thing you're trying to reference with this, or how did you kind of pull all that together for this vision?
So this, the majority of this is going to be reminiscent of everything in the 80s, like the toy line, the Filmation cartoon. This movie is going to kind of, not kind of, but actually, tell the story of Adora being a member of the Horde and finding her destiny as She-Ra. And so a lot of Secret of the Sword inspiration. So like 2000X was great, and everything that has come since has been great. But yeah, we're sticking to the 80s, not necessarily the 87 movie, but not which I love, but yeah, just that childhood nostalgia and feeling.
That's right. The way it makes us feel, right? That's the important part about Masters. I think that's always been like a key with He-Man. It's like it's a feeling. So, yeah, I love that. That's a great answer.
That's the main thing. Like I want people to watch this and feel good. I don't want them to feel disappointed or bad or like, oh, that's not He-Man. You know what I mean? So like I want adventure, magic, fun, excitement, lightheartedness.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. With that, we're going to take it over to He-Man himself, Brian Cage, because Brian, you played the role of He-Man 10 years ago for the first Fall of Grayskull movie. And just recently, you got to kind of reprise that role for the trailer that you guys filmed for this hopefully upcoming second movie here. So can you maybe tell us a little bit like how you've grown into that character in your acting on screen abilities? Kind of speak on that a bit.
Well, as Daniel said too, the first one shot with like such a low budget, and he said, it was gone instantly, especially when they had to, provide catering snacks for me when I was there. Like the budget just, it was gone instantly then. But I had no idea what to expect. It's the first time me meet Daniel, and even we did it all in green screen, and I was only there for like at least for like where I shot too. I remember doing it I feel like we shot it in 36 hours. It was so crazy, but the final product, even though the trailer for the second one is phenomenally better than the first movie, the final product was still way better than I anticipated, and I was so thrilled about it. And I've gotten so much love from so many different He-Man fans, especially different wrestling events I've been to when there's He-Man fans there. But as far as just growing as an actor, I mean, except I was like 10 years ago. So as far as just character-wise and promo-wise within wrestling, I've grown a crap ton. I think that's the main thing too. Is I'm just more confident all around in myself, and then just like who I am personally and entertainment wise, where I feel like I've expanded on that in my acting ability tremendously. I've done a few things here or there, but I've been waiting for this possible sequel for a long time. I know a lot of people always like craving for it, and then when Fresh Danny B over here hit me up to do the little sizzle reel that we released, I was stoked, and I was waiting for a while to see that just because I could just tell without even seeing it. When we were just filming, the pieces of that, it just felt so much better. So I can't wait and hope this all comes to fruition just as Danny sees it. I think it'll be phenomenal.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And yeah, man, I totally like see what you're saying too, as far as like your confidence level and everything. Like the experience that you have obviously in pro wrestling has got to build some serious confidence, especially when you're playing somebody like He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. I think that is such a great way to kind of draw on your experiences real world there to kind of put into this character. And you also kind of touch on a little bit too with like meeting fans while you're out doing wrestling events. So obviously you would get recognized as pro wrestler Brian Cage, but do you have any fun stories of getting recognized as He-Man?
Oh, for sure. I have, randomly, obviously not as much as for being Brian Cage, the pro wrestler, but I have randomly here or there at some spots. But definitely at plenty of different, signings and wrestling shows. I know Masters of the Universe is huge in Germany. I've done a few different Germany tours. I've had people come up with memorabilia from Fall of Grayskull. I've had fans bring me different random, He-Man stuff as well. Funny enough, too, one of the biggest fans who was trying to to stay real low key about it was actually another wrestler that I met in Australia on this big tour I was doing down there. And
Uh-huh.
at the very end of it, he's like, "Hey man, I was trying not to." A term we use in wrestling is called mark out, where you just
Yeah.
fanboy. He goes, "But I was a huge fan of yours already for wrestling, but then we did the He-Man movie. Like, that's like my number one favorite thing." And this whole time, he was like, I didn't want to bother you, but you think?" And he had like the poster, the mini poster, and the comic book, and he's like, "Oh, can you sign all this stuff for me?" And I was like, "Oh, for sure, man, no problem. Don't worry about it." So yeah, it's very cool when I get asked and notice about that, and I have quite the entrance gear and just wrestling attire that's very, for lack of a better term, cosplay. And I know everyone's been waiting for me to do a He-Man one as well. So, and
Dude,
I'm
you
like, oh,
gotta.
let's
You
it's,
gotta.
it's on the checklist. So
That's amazing. That's fantastic. I love finding out how many MOTU fans are in wrestling. I've met so many guys who are just like, that's their thing. And I love that we just all have that connection, right? It's funny how like all of this stuff just brings us together at points. It's so cool.
well, especially in this day and age too. I think there's so many, and especially in AEW. Uh, I feel like 90% of the fan base is a bunch of nerds, and I say that
Yeah,
not insultingly because I'm a big nerd as well. So
right.
like
We're
the
all nerds
whole,
here.
comic books, video games, anime, He-Man, that whole universe of awesome, nerdism, if you will, all goes almost hand in hand with everything. So I feel like they all kind of intertwine in a nice little multiverse of fun.
That's amazing. That's so awesome. All right, Brian, thank you so much, man. I
No
want to
worries.
now take it over to Matt O'Toole. I mentioned in the beginning, like you've got experience, right, with prop making and stuff like that. So can you kind of elaborate a little bit on your Hollywood experience?
Yeah, I'm about almost 30 years deep in the makeup and creature effects industry. My first film was Event Horizon. It was, I don't know if you guys remember that one with Sam Neill back in the
Yep.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the very first movie I ever did, and I was making dead bodies and prosthetic pieces and all sorts of stuff for the sequence. You barely see it in the film; it's like a real quick flash. But the minute I walked on that set, on that spaceship set, I was done. I was like, "This is my career from now on. I'm not doing anything else." And then so from that point onwards, I've just been doing movie after movie after movie. And technically, I've done props, but technically, I'm a creature effects artist. So yeah, all sorts of stuff I've done. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, can you go into a little bit of what your history is with Masters of the Universe and how you plan to incorporate that into Fall of
Mhm.
Grayskull too?
I guess. I mean, like every single one of us. I'm a super nerd. I was a kid playing with the figures, and for me, the cartoon wasn't really the thing. For me, it was just the figures, just the action figures. When I saw those little beefy, muscular little dudes, I was just like, oh. I mean, I guess that's almost that started me weight training, you know, when I was younger, you know, and I've always thought to myself, you know, how cool would it be to work on a big budget, massive universe movie that was done correct. And the sad thing is it's probably never ever going to be done correct if it's done but with a big budget, you know, like a Hollywood budget. So
Sure,
they'll probably get some things right, bits and pieces right here and there. We'll go, that was cool, and we'll be clawing for crumbs, you know. But if it's done like this, the way we're trying to do it, at least, even though it hasn't got the massive Hollywood budget, it will be, you know, it'll have love and respect to all the characters. So, you know, I don't know when it was, a couple of years ago, I was sitting there looking at my Master Universe collection, and I literally just picked up a piece of, I've been watching a bunch of cosplay videos online, and I got a piece of that, what's it called? The black foam, EVA foam, whatever it's called. And I had a piece of that, and I picked it up, started gluing, and within about 3 or 4 weeks, I had a Man-at-Arms costume.
Amazing.
Yeah. I put it on, you know, I kind of kept adjusting it, like I put a belt, like a gun belt on his hip rather than on his back, because the legs looked kind of bare. And so I kept adjusting and making my own little touches, but not straying away so far that it would kind of like, that's not Man-at-Arms anymore. And I remember looking and thinking, yeah, this could be, you know, it's done with a lot more care, and this could be a movie suit, you know. And it just got me thinking. So when Dan gave me a call, it was like years later, you know, I put it online. It went kind of semi-viral, I guess. I got a lot of hits, and people was all commenting and stuff. So that was kind of a little ego boost. So that's nice.
That's amazing.
but yeah, so Dan commented me, called me up, and just out of the blue, you know, and I was just like, shit, yeah, why not, right? You know, I'll do it. Sounds like a plan. And here we all are.
I love it. I love it. Totally a for the fans, by the fans approach, right? That's what it sounds like we're doing. I love that.
Doing and working in this industry for so long, like every one of us all know, you get what they're going to do. It's just going to be like all the producers, everyone's going to want a piece of the pie. Everyone's going to want an opinion. And before you know it, you know, Man-at-Arms will be, you know, like wearing a top hat or something. You'll be you know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, a little cat with his whole, you know, it'll just be all crazy. I don't know. Or maybe not. And they'll surprise us. That'd be great, right?
You never know, right? You never know. But it does sound like what you guys are planning here. I love what you're saying. I think that's awesome. And like exactly what we were just saying, like the by the fans, for the fans, treating it with respect. I just think that's what us as fans of any property, that's what we want, right? We want it to be treated with respect. We want it to be something that we can watch and make us feel happy. So you guys are definitely saying all the right things here. I like
that's
that.
What we're trying to do, man. That is exactly what we're trying to do. Right.
All right. And joining us a little late, I would like to welcome Tuesday Night to the panel here. You may recognize Tuesday from her role in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. She has also been a singer-songwriter since the 80s and playing the role of Queen Marlena in Fall of Grayskull 2. Welcome to the panel, Tuesday.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Awesome. So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you some questions about this upcoming project as well. Starting with, what is your history with Daniel and Red Serial Films?
Well, my connection with Daniel is doing The Bloody Man, meeting him before that, but we didn't really talk too much. The Bloody Man was the first time I worked with him, and I thought that he was amazing. He's great to work with. He's really talented. He's just got a personality that just, you know, you can really grab onto, and really lets the actors do what they want to do. Doesn't give line readings, which is good. I love him. I love him. I would love to work with him. I'd work with him anytime. Yeah.
That's excellent. So with your upcoming role here with Fall of Grayskull 2, it's a Masters of the Universe fan film. How does this project differ from other independent movie projects that you've worked on in the past?
Well, it's really, really different because I've never really done a sci-fi fantasy sort of role, which makes it so interesting. I have done a lot of voiceovers for things. I did Dazzler, which is Marvel. That was really
Awesome.
interesting. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I've
that's
never
cool.
done anything like this. And it's Daniel, so I mean, it's something that's going to be amazing. I just know it. I mean, the way he does everything is so great. As you can tell, I really like Daniel.
Well, that's a good thing. I think
There's
Daniel's all right.
somebody out there does.
Yeah, somebody does. I'm the president of the fan club. It's okay.
On that note, what was it like singing alongside Daniel, like a classic He-Man and She-Ra song with "I Have
Well,
the Power"? That was
what
so
I'm going to
cool.
say. You know what I'm going to say, right?
Was Daniel great? Was he great?
Awesome. Awesome. I loved
great.
it. I loved it. It was so fun and so cool. And just the way he set it up and everything. He's just, I don't know what he is. He's just talented. He's great.
I don't know what I am either.
Look, you guys crushed
He paid
that,
me.
seriously.
He paid me a lot of money for this.
There you go. I like it. There it is. There it is.
Yeah. Just,
Honesty.
It comes out.
You mean somebody got
Well,
paid
look-
for any of this?
Yeah.
Dan, get paid. What's going on, bud?
Well, you guys seriously did crush it. Like, that song is one of those, like, it's such a nostalgic piece for me, right? Like, obviously, like, the toys were so important to me, but so many of us grew up watching Filmation, and that movie coming out in theaters was a big deal when we were kids. I think you guys just nailed it, man. And it really helped kind of set the vibe and the tone, I think, here for the feelings that we're hoping to get out of this movie.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Tuesday. I'm actually going to move
Sure.
over and ask John some questions now. So, John, with Simple Tricks and Nonsense, you and your wife Rebecca are creating amazing cosplay costumes regularly. So, how has your history with Masters of the Universe and Princess of Power kind of inspired you in your costume making?
Oh, well, I had He-Man and Skeletor before the cartoon even came out, but I didn't have a ton of figures. And the great thing about MOTU in general is just the overall creativity, and that there aren't really any rails to keep things confined. It goes in like every direction. So when you get to look at these different characters, you can come up with so much stuff because it's all over the place. And then sci-fi and fantasy and that merging of worlds. So you have some things where it's purely sci-fi, and then you have other things where you can tell it's inspired by Conan or a classical fantasy type thing. So
that's amazing. And I've seen some pretty incredible stuff like that you guys have created. I still remember your Manny faces is one of my favorites that you guys did there at PowerCon one year. So maybe can you talk about like, how do you adapt like an animated character or an action figure into like a real world like concept like that and still like maintain like what makes that character special? How does that work? I just don't understand the costume thing at all. So I'll let you speak on that.
So a lot of times you always got to keep the silhouette, and you always got to keep the color palette, because those are the two things that people are going to have that instant association with, and they'll look at it and they'll go, oh, that's it's the same kind of issue that many people had with the 87 Masters movie. When you looked at like Man at Arms and stuff, it's like, yes, it more or less looks like Man at Arms, but the color palette's not there. So it had the silhouette, didn't have the color palette. But when it comes to costume stuff, you have so much reference material to draw from. And when you have 40 years of stuff, you can sit there and cherry pick your favorite options, and then you can sit there and combine stuff. And then you can look at practicality of how something might wear better, or if something looks more, let's say, real world or more appropriate for a film. And so we generally try to go in that direction and not be too cartoony. A lot of times when you go cartoony, it looks, to say it's two-dimensional on a three-dimensional form would be the insult. So you're trying to build in the details, like what Matt did with his Man at Arms, where it just looked epic because there was so much detail to it, and everything looked like it had a purpose and a function and a reason to be there. So you want to build that into your costumes.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And that makes a lot of sense. It reminds me, I had a conversation one time with a director, and we were specifically talking about like character designs for movies that are inspired by comic books and cartoons and stuff. And he said something to me that always stuck with me. He said, if you can squint while looking at them and still see the silhouette of the character or still tell who the character is, then it's a good redesign. It's a good update or a good translation of the character. And I think that really kind of ties into exactly what you were just saying with like the colors and the shapes and all that stuff. That is so intriguing and something that I wish we would see more of in a lot of our films and stuff like that. That's fantastic.
Why most of the Marvel characters work. Most of them.
Exactly. That is, well, and so the funny thing is the conversation was started by talking about the Marvel stuff, because the Marvel stuff is pretty good for the most part, right? Like obviously there's exceptions, but like they look like their characters. And I think it's, I always, now that we're in this post MCU world, I no longer accept that our movies can't look like the way we want them to. Right. So I get really mad when these movies still come out and I'm like, what did you do? Like, why can we get Captain America and Iron Man looking like they're supposed to, but we can't get He-Man? So I love this. I think what you guys are doing here is really sounding really great.
Years ago, I worked for a company, and the Games Workshop people came to us about doing a Warhammer film. You know those big, huge blue space guys?
Yes,
my boss turned them down and said those are impossible to make, real scale with people inside them. And I remember thinking, bet I can make one. And then and I'm talking like almost 19 years ago this is. And then years later, of course, you see cosplayers walking through conventions wearing perfect costumes of Space Marines. I'm like, yep, you can make them.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. Awesome. Well, guys, this has been a really great chat. But before we go, I think we should turn it back over to Daniel, because we need to know all the details about the Kickstarter, how much longer we have for this, what you guys are looking to achieve with this, because I want to see this movie. And I think everybody else out there wants to see this movie too.
Me too.
Just a couple days. So there's just a few days left.
We're in the home stretch right now.
Yes,
we're in
the home stretch.
Yeah.
I am going to reach out because there is a possibility of an extension with Kickstarter. I didn't know that until recently. And so it's possible to extend it another 15 days max, because I think 60 days is the max you can go. So maybe it's just up to their discretion, but can't bank on that. So like just a couple days left, and we need 250,000, which is, a lot for a Kickstarter, but not really a lot for a feature, film of this magnitude, of this style of movie. And yeah, so fallofgrayskull.com, it forwards you to the Kickstarter campaign. And there's tons and tons of really awesome reward tiers and add-ons and stuff. So yeah, please go donate. We want to make this He-Man and She-Ra film a reality.
Excellent. Yes. And I'll make sure that I link directly to it down in the video description as well, so you guys can all head over there and check it out. And like Daniel said, there's a lot of fun rewards and stuff there as well. So, not only are you going to help this movie get off the ground and possibly get made, but you'll get a little some fun stuff out of it as well for yourself. So a lot of cool stuff going on. And I think everybody who is a fan of the Masters of the Universe world, Princess of Power, I think this would be a really cool thing if we can come together and make this happen, just to have something fun like this for the fans, by the fans. It's awesome. Well, I'd like to thank every single one of you guys for stopping by to talk to us today. Thanks for hanging in there and answering some questions for us, and hopefully help spread the word on Fall of Grayskull too.
Yep.
Thanks for having us.
Man, appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
So there you go, my friends. I hope that you learned a little bit more about Fall of Grayskull, and maybe this is something that you are interested in seeing happen. If that's the case, there's not a whole lot of time left on the Kickstarter. It's possible that it could get extended, like Daniel said, but as of right now, we are in the final week of the campaign, and there is quite a bit of funds to be raised. So I'm gonna link to it in the video description down below. If this is something you're interested in, please go over and check it out. It would be very cool to see what these guys are able to create and put together for the fans. A fan film created by the fans for the fans. Sounds pretty good to me. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and until next time.